Beth, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. So we started with the song With Time from the album Crazy Town, which has gone crazy. It's been getting some great reviews, hasn't it?
Well, I have to say it makes me very happy. It has been getting great reviews, and it's a bit of a departure for me because I worked with Ray Kennedy, who's a wild man, in the studio, and we just kind of flew into putting everything down with the band live, and I was so pleased with how it came out, and the vocals came out really strong. So I just left them, maybe fixed a few little spots, but so it has a very immediacy about it, a very immediate feel about it, and I think because a lot of the material is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you played with Time, which is more the classic Beth Nielsen Chapman
Yeah.
vibe, which I love. I mean, that song is so dear to me. But a lot of the other ones are like 2 minute Beatles song kind of length, and they still kind of explore various aspects of life and the crazy world that we're in. What's really fascinating though is that we really finished tracking all the songs, and we were plowing ahead, and then we found out we were going to have a pandemic. So if you listen to the record, you would swear I wrote it after going through the pandemic. But nope, no, I managed to look in my crystal ball of songs and write them ahead of time.
So it's always good to see you when you come back to Northern Ireland, and I suppose this little country of ours is a special place for you now, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's amazing. I was telling somebody the other day that I found out just like a couple of years ago that my great great grandmother is actually on my mother's side. I was saying it was on my father's side. It's on my mother's side. My great great grandmother came from Ross Glass Beach, that area near County Down, well, in County Down. But
Yeah.
when I would go to play Belfast, that was the first place I really played and came to in Northern Ireland. And I just remember thinking, gosh, I really feel like I feel connected to this part of the world. I wonder why, because I didn't know that I had a great great grandmother from there. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I've loved playing all around Northern Ireland. I'm really excited to go to Derry for the first time. I've never been there. I mean, to perform. So
Yes,
it'll
yeah.
be fun.
And you're playing a church in Derry as part of the Luminaire Festival, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
So the Luminaire Festival is Saturday the 4th of February, and then on Sunday the 5th of February you're coming to Theatre at the Mill in Newtownabbey. Now you've been very busy recently. I know you've been driving all over America, haven't you?
I have, and I went through this big loss in December. My husband Bob passed away after a long illness. He had leukemia, and we had these conversations in the last few weeks. And I said, I guess I should just cancel everything. And he was like, Nope, you got to go do what you do. And
Oh,
he said, I'll be with you in a different way, but I will be with you. And so it's been really powerful and surreal, kind of
yes.
to keep going. And I've had so much support, and the audiences that I've been in front of have been incredible. And I also I start my show by saying I might fall apart, but if I don't, that'll be great. If I do, that's why. So, but
Yes.
so far I haven't. So far it's been
Oh,
very supported, and it feels like the right thing to do. And I'm
yes.
really excited about coming back to Northern Ireland because the audiences there have they're very well behaved. I'll put it to you that way.
Have you had many wild and crazy audiences then?
Well, I mean, when I say crazy wild is great, as long
Yeah.
as they're listening and crazy and wild. But no, they're very attentive, and they also really understand the power of poetry and song because that's so much in the culture. Like they really appreciate writing, and there's some of the greatest writers and artists in the world come from there. So it's like stepping into a world where they really appreciate and get what I'm trying to do anyway.
So over the years your songs have been covered by many, many great artists. Do you have a favourite?
There's so many that have been my favorites, but I would have to say one of the most extraordinary for me was when Willie Nelson recorded a song called "There's Nothing I Can Do About It Now," and I wrote it by myself, and it went all the way to number one.
Wow.
And I got to play with him a few times, and I got to play on the record, and I got to hang out with him. And he actually recorded five of my songs on that album, or in the course of a couple of albums right around that time in the early '90s. And I just couldn't believe it because I had all of his records, and he's one of the great songwriters. I mean, he's
Yeah.
a great songwriter. He writes for other artists, kind of songwriter,
Yes. Yeah.
classic. And it just so happened at the time he wasn't writing because a lot of things were changing in his life. I think his son Lucas was just born, who's now a star himself.
Yeah.
And I just had this little moment in time where I could slide in there and get a few covers. So I'm pretty happy about that. And one of the great compliments I ever heard was when Willie Nelson said people thought he wrote that song.
So is it true that Waylon Jennings heard Willie's song and then phoned you up and said, write me a song just like that?
I believe the story is that Willie was blasting the new mixes of his new record off the back of his golf cart in a boombox, and Waylon was along for the ride, and he kept saying, "Oh, well, that's a real good song." Willie kept saying, "Well, Beth Nielsen Chapman wrote that one too," and he goes, "Give me your number." And Waylon and I got to be great friends. We wrote together a lot, and I got to go and hang out with him and his wonderful, beautiful wife, who is also a star, Jessie Coulter.
Wow, yes.
And we'd all hang out, and it was just beautiful, to get to meet my heroes and to work with them. I still can't believe it. Like when they do the TV movie of my life, I'll be like, did that really happen?
Now, somebody else who was very close to you that we sadly lost last year was the fabulous Olivia Newton John, and she was a very special friend of yours.
Just an amazing human, really. I had so much love and respect for her, and then I got to meet her, and then I got to work with her, and she recorded a few of my songs, and then we wrote together, and then, just her whole path of her life has been just extraordinary, and it keeps going. The things that she put into place are growing and going, and her impact on the world is something to behold, And I was so grateful. Amy Skye and I worked with Olivia to do the record that's called Live On. It's all songs about coming through grief, and she really wanted to do a project like that, something that had light in it and humor and also a lot of depth. And so we made this record. But anyway, the last couple of days before she passed, I was in a Dallas airport, and I got a text from her family saying, this is a good time to call if you want to say hello. And so Amy and I were both on the phone singing to her. That was really special. And, her voice is going to keep going, though. It's just an amazing, powerful impact that she's made.
And of course, she inspired so many people across the world and helped so many women who were going through their own cancer battles. And I know you've had your cancer battles over the years as well, haven't you?
Yes, and that's really how I got to be really close friends with Olivia, because when I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in the year 2000, which was a shock to me, she was right on the phone to me, calling me, helping me get organized and pointing me, like I do this a lot for other women. Like if a friend of mine calls me and says, so-and-so just got diagnosed, can you call her? I'll call that person and I'll just say, okay, you're going to want to go all over the place and see all the doctors and just get into your center and think about the best, least stressful way to do this. And that was a huge help to me. And yeah, she was a great friend. She was constantly checking on me, and she was great. I miss her every day.
So tell me about a song like This Kiss. It's a song that you'll never be able to get away from, but when you were writing that, did you realize how big it was going to become?
When we were writing that song, we were convinced that it was going to be the biggest thing ever. And So I wrote that with Annie Roboff and Robin Lerner, and then we ran all around. We thought it was a pop song, which actually, legalistically, it is a pop song, just because the structure and the chords, it's not exactly a 3-chord country song, but it has... we had this demo that was based around a keyboard, very different than the record that you ended up hearing. So, yeah, it was amazing. And Brian Gallimore, who produced the record, brought it to a whole other level. And then I got to go in and sing the background vocals on it, which was really fun. Right. So whenever I'd hear it on the radio, I could hear myself in there singing with it. And I've had a lot of songwriters say, or people say, why did you give that song away? Yeah. Do you regret giving that song to Faith Hill? And I'm always perplexed by that question, because I think, I didn't give it away. I just allowed it to go make a small fortune so I could send my son through college. If I had hung on to it, I might have had a nice little hit. But Faith Hill brought it to the stratospheric level of hit. So I still sing it at almost every show I do, and I still love it, and I still own it. But she can have it too.
Now, you've got this great back catalogue that features hundreds, maybe thousands of songs that you've written over the years. But do you remember the first song that you ever wrote?
Yes, I do, and it was not very good. Want to hear it?
Yeah.
It goes, all right, I played this for my mom while she was taking a nap, and she did not wake up. So that's a good indication that I had a little ways to go.
Okay.
Also, it only has one rhyme and it only has one melody. It goes, in the month of May, cowboys used to say, let us lead the way. During the month of May, guess what? Cowboys used to say, let us lead the way.
That is brilliant. And thank you so much for doing that.
Hey, I was 10, so it was pretty good. Maybe 11. Maybe just 11, yeah.
Beth, sadly we're out of time. We're going to play one more of the songs from the album Crazy Town. I'm going to go for Walk You to Heaven, which was written, of course, alongside our good friend Kimmy Rhodes, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, Kimmy and Mindy Smith as well. Yeah, we loved writing that song. We were trying to channel John Prine. You'll hear us trying to rip him off left and right in that song. And it's one of my favorites. It's the one I end every show with now.
So Beth, enjoy your time in Northern Ireland. You're back on the 4th and the 5th of February. Thank you for joining us.
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody up there, and I'm coming with bells on. Bye. Thank you.